This is Excel 2016, Module 7, Part 8. In this section, we are going to be adding the Developer tab to the ribbon so that we can use it to create macros and macro buttons. Now it's important to remember that the macros can be created other ways other than by using that Developer tab. So some students will find those other ways and think they do not need the Developer tab. However, a macro button does require the Developer tab, so you need to learn how to do this. You will need to set this up at home, as well as be able to set this up for your exam. So to add the Developer tab, you're going to go to the Backstage view, which recall, that is by clicking the word File. Once you get to the Backstage view, you're going to go all the way down to the bottom and choose Options. On the Excel options, you want to choose to customize your ribbon. You'll notice over here you have main tabs and Developer is not checked. You want to check that box and then click OK. You'll notice once I did that, the Developer tab was added to my ribbon. Now I do want to point out that you don't have to do this for each file, because notice when I switch from this file to my winter workbook that we're using for Module 7, the Developer tab is still there. Okay, so you do need to add it once until you go back in and uncheck that box. Excel should keep the Developer tab there for you. So you should only have to do it once at home. You may have to do it multiple times on campus because they may revert it back to their original setup of Excel. But at home, you should only have to do it once. That concludes adding it to our ribbon. You'll notice we now have this additional tab. Next, we're going to actually use this tab so that we can add macros. But before we do that, I do want to show you the security settings that have to do with macros. So if you come here to your macro security button, you'll notice it will open up this. You have options that say disable macros without notification and so forth. Basically what this is saying is it's going to disable the macros in any workbook I open, and it's going to give me a notification that tells me that this particular workbook contains macros, and it will give me the option to enable those. So with that, you want to make sure that every workbook you open, if you get that message, you enable the macros before you try to make any changes to that workbook. Now we'll begin working with the macros.